Back in the 90s, did you ever go to the VA and saw how it was then compared to 2018?
Yes, sir.
It was terrible, wasn't it? How they treated the vets.
Well, they still treat the vets horrible at some VAs apparently, but that place was a dungeon back in '91. It was everything was painted battleship gray, and it was no ambient light. It was a horrible place to wake up to. I was transferred by ambulance from we're about an hour from the Shreveport. What's the name? Overton Brooks VA, and I was transported by ambulance and woke up the next morning in this gray room by myself, completely different than where my last memories, and was like, what the hell? And that place was horrible, but it's still horrible. It's not any better. They painted the walls, but it is horrible over there. Horrible.
Yeah, I remember Houston when I went there. I wouldn't let my wife back then. There's no way I would have let them go. I mean, I wouldn't care if they said, you got 3 months. I'd been like, hey, I'll stay there. Y'all, there ain't no point of going. Because, I mean, I remember walking in there and people were screaming for help, and they just walked right past them.
Yes. Yeah, we had.
Yes.
I mean, it break your heart. Other dudes, there was I don't know, 2 or 3 doors down from us. Every time you went down the hall, and all day long and all night long, you hear this man just going, help me. Someone help me.
Yes.
It was horrible.
Yeah, so they want to, instead of putting more money into the facilities and the research and, to help the veterans, because we're using a lot of outside sources now for research, which I'll get into that with somebody another time with Denise. But I don't know why the government doesn't fund us. I mean, you can cross the border and get separated from your family, 450,000. But hey,
Yes, sir.
your loved one can be separated from the military and away from you and pass away. And you get 100,000, maybe 200.
If that, and you can prove it, and you've
Right.
dotted all the I's and all the T's and played their bureaucratic bullshit that they have.
Exactly. And that's what needs to stop.
Yes, sir.
All that needs to stop. I know, like, have you done any of the researches that are out?
Since the early '90s, sir.
Okay. They're starting to come out with more research for us veterans. And that's the one thing that, I mean, to me, I'll tell you, 2016, I lost my insurance to Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I got a phone call. They're like, hey, we're dropping you. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, you're under Obamacare. I said, okay, who's my insurance? They're like, the VA. I went, oh, hell no. I begged them. I was like, look, I'll double payment. I'll do this. Just don't put me with the VA. Well, I had to go with the VA. It wasn't a choice. It was mandated. And I went in, and the facility totally changed. Now, Houston facility, because I believe you're talking about, was it Dallas, right?
No, Shreveport, Louisiana.
Shreveport, Louisiana at that time. And I tell you what, it was a huge difference. The valet parking, they had this. And they had all this stuff that was totally different than what it was. And I can literally say my experience from the start till now is 100% better, if not 500% better. But all VA systems need to work the same.
Yes.
Not just 1 or 2 or 50 or all of them. There, in every major city, there needs to be a VA hospital. In every county, there needs to be a VA clinic. And they need to allow us, instead of saying, well, if you can't get into your doctor for 30 days, why don't they give us an insurance card to let us go to an outside doctor to begin with?
Right. And they started that recently. 2019, I think Trump signed something in to where we get out in town care, because I'm 75 miles from the Shreveport VA.
Right.
So, and you got to have a hospital in your area, blah, blah, blah. But they've sent us out to town to several. I've gone to some pulmonologists, a skin doctor, blah, blah. Well, if those outside sources don't follow everything to a T on their paperwork. The VA won't pay their bills. And I've had 3 times creditors call me and put stuff on my freaking credit that the VA didn't pay because the lady didn't put their date correctly. You know, she just wrote 20 and or wrote 19 instead of 2019 or whatever reason. And they kick it back and don't pay them.
Yeah.
So it's the same, you know, it's still a government ran entity that screws about everything up that they do.
Right.
If they don't pay those outside doctors, those guys don't want to see us.
And